Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of the KeenGamer podcast. My name is Kyle Shamillard, and we've got a great show for you this week. Before we get started, though, I need to introduce my panel. Welcome back to the show, the great Mark O'Callahan. Welcome back, Mark.
So that's how you pronounce your last name? Shamillard?
See, this is the first time I've said my last name on the podcast. It's been about
I'm like,
10 weeks.
whoa.
See, and Mark, I was like, oh, good to know.
It's like the big reveal where there's something under a sheet or a cover, and you don't know what shape it is, and I pull up the blanket, and it's this like weird, ugly giraffe alligator hybrid.
I know you're a big
name.
fan of like Pokemon, so I thought it was like Charmander.
Yeah, so Shamillard, if you ever can't remember it, just think of Sham Wow and then Sham-a-lard. I don't know. Anyway, you heard her laughing at Mark's joke. Welcome back to the show, Jessica Orr. Jessica, welcome back.
Thank you, Kyle. Shamillard?
You nailed it. Yes, that's the one. Yeah. That's why I'm so grateful when my guests have easy to read last names. Are usually like 3 to 8 letters, not the 12 to 15 that mine is. Anyway, welcome to the KeenGamer podcast. We've got a great show for you this week. It's going to be kind of back to our normal fun talking about games. Last week was a bit heavier with the Activision and Blizzard stuff, but 2022 is here. Games are really starting to come out, and we've got a good agenda for you guys today. We're going to start by talking about Pokémon Legends Arceus. Jessica has Dying Light 2 that she has been playing, and Mark has been playing Horizon Zero Dawn. I would love to start with Pokémon Legends, which came out on Friday. This is the newest game from Game Freak. So they're the main people behind Pokemon. Their last game was Sword and Shield, I believe. And I want to kind of start with like my expectations going into this game. I've been on this podcast talking about how burnt out I am by Pokemon as a franchise many times. I want to say even like last week, Jessica, when we talked about the podcast or when we were doing the podcast, we were very cautiously optimistic about Legends. We were like, it could be good, it could be bad, who knows? When it comes to even like Pokemon Shining Pearl and Brilliant Diamond, I think I stopped playing after 10 hours. It was one of those, I've done this before. I've been doing the same formula for 20 plus years with these damn games. I just didn't have the attention span to keep playing it. So on Wednesday of this week, when I saw the Metacritic review for Pokemon Legends, and I think it was probably around an 85 or an 86, I was like, wait a minute, is there potential with this thing? So I pretty much stayed under the covers and like was not reading any reviews, not watching any trailers, trying to go into the game with as little knowledge as possible. And I think that has paid off so well. I went into this game with the lowest of expectations, and it has pretty much absolutely blown me away, while also revitalizing my entire love and interest of the franchise. That's kind of like my opening statement. Like, after a couple hours of playing it, I was talking to you, Jessica, about Pokemon Snap, how I played it for 5 hours and put it on the shelf. I really want to play Pokemon Snap 2 again. I want to go back to like the original Pokemon Snap, and the animals are so adorable, and like everything I loved as a child about Pokemon, everything I've ever wanted from Pokemon. It's not all the way here in Legends Arceus, but it is the steps forward in the right direction of what I would say a majority of Pokemon fans have wanted. So what is Pokemon Legends Arceus? It is more of an open world exploration game with like survival and crafting elements in it, whereas your typical Pokemon are like more standard turn-based JRPGs. So you play as a character in the Hisui region, which is kind of located in a feudal Sinnoh area, which for those who don't know, Sinnoh is the name of the Generation 4 Pokemon game location. And you are going through and you're recruited by a professor to create the world's first Pokedex. So your job is to not really go out and catch the Pokemon, it's to go out and study and research them. So one of my favorite things in any game is a list of objectives to do. Whether it's Nobody Saves the World or just some like open world game where it's like, here's 70 quests, go have fun. With Pokemon Legends Arceus, you're going out into the world and you're studying Pokemon. And when you look at their Pokedex entry, we'll say, take Pikachu, for example. You find a Pikachu in the wild. And when you finally find it, you'll have your objectives, which will be find 25 Pikachu, catch 25 Pikachu, watch Pikachu use Thundershock 15 times, find a male and a female. So it's like you're not even going out there battling and catching. You're out there observing and trying to note down their habits. What foods do they like? How tall can they be? How fat can these Pokemon be? Whatever you want. And it's just such a fresh take on the Pokemon world that like I was saying, I've put 15 hours in this game and I've had it for less than 48. Probably. It's weird math, but I've been doing 7 to 9 hour sessions and just having a hell of a time doing so. There is a lot to break down with this game. If you guys have any questions about it, please fire them my way so I'm not just rambling too much about this thing. I started with Rowlet as my starter because I had never played with him before. I love the animation. It is very clear almost immediately that someone from Pokemon played Breath of the Wild and was like, we need to do that with our game. The aesthetic is very Breath of the Wild, from the landscapes to the sound to just the overall atmosphere and aesthetic of the game in the best possible ways. The music is very simple but catchy. I feel like most Pokemon games have these really like anthem heavy bangers. This one is a lot more atmospheric. If you think back to Breath of the Wild, you'd be running around and you'd hear like 4 or 5 notes from a piano, and like that'd be it. That's the song. And you're almost getting that with Pokemon as well. Just little tastes of atmospheric music that just really helps set the tone for what you're doing. Yeah, I can't get into more about this game. I'm also keeping this spoiler free because I was genuinely shocked in the first minute of the game about what was happening. The way it starts had already thrown me off what I had presumed about it. So what else do I have? I wrote down a whole pro and con thing so I wouldn't forget. Jessica, in the back,
Is it
please.
as good as Breath of the Wild?
No.
This early on? No. Okay, yeah. That would be a large statement.
So I'd say like it does take a lot of the aesthetic ideas from Breath of the Wild, but of course, gameplay wise, they're very different games.
The only sort of criticism I've heard about it, I wonder if it's the same with you, is that the world doesn't feel like lived in, like it's kind of empty. Not much to do outside of the Pokemon.
It is. You know what? I can see how people would say it's empty because you play a Pokemon game and usually there's like 10 towns, 8 gyms, and all that stuff. It's usually like a full continent of stuff to do. But like I was saying, you're living in this kind of feudal era Sinnoh, and the land is incredibly underdeveloped. Like you are living in a town where every civilian fears Pokemon. You are so back in history. Nobody wants to leave the town and even see like a Starly, like a little bird Pokemon. People fear for their lives from, which is very interesting. I understand it being underdeveloped. That doesn't mean it's not like full of secrets and really cool discoveries that I found on my own. Not even like the game prompting, like, oh, check out this mysterious thing. There's been multiple times while playing where I'll, naturally go to a corner of the map and then find a Pokemon I didn't know was in the game, or I'll find a new item or a location. So it does have that sense of exploration while being empty. That's not been a complaint I've had personally. I know the other big complaint people have had about this game is the graphics, which you can't deny. This is a game that if a Pokemon is far enough away, it'll run at about 5 frames a second. Even if you're moving the camera around your character, you'll see rocks and trees popping in as you're moving the camera, which is not good. But the thing is, I'm having so much fun, it doesn't matter. I would say a game like Fire Emblem Three Houses also suffered from this issue, where graphically it wasn't the best thing in the world, but the gameplay made it so the graphics didn't matter at all, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're not playing like Pokemon for the graphics as well, is what I'd say. It's that gameplay experience,
For the most part, graphics has never been a top priority for me personally. For me, if a game is fun, then that's good. And that's probably the fact that I was a Nintendo guy for the first 20 years of my life, that graphics never really mattered too much. But I'm having so much fun. The choppy graphics and the pop-in, I'm very happily overlooking, just despite everything else around what's happening in the game. I also want to shout out the writing. Most Pokemon stories are okay to fine, I feel like, in the main series. The writing in this game has genuinely made me laugh out loud a couple of times. They're focusing, because it's not a big sprawling world with the 8 towns, it's one town. They're focusing more on characters as well. Every single character in your home village has a name and almost a personality as well. And throughout the game, you'll have your main story objectives as well as side quests. So almost every day you wake up, you'll go around, somebody will be like, hey, will you catch me a Wurmple? Because I want to try and conquer my fear of Pokemon. Will you go out there? And I saw this shining ball of fire at nighttime. So will you go to this one part of the map at this time of day? Because there is, like most Pokemon games, a day and night cycle, and find out what it is. So you can camp out, wait for that event to happen. You solve the mystery of what was that fireball. It's really cool. And it's telling stories with Pokemon that the main series has never even tried. And I just feel like when I'm playing this game, I just feel like I'm a little kid again. Last night, my partner was playing it, and my gut instinct of what I should do while I watch her play that was to watch the original Pokemon anime. Like, I feel like I'm a 90s kid again playing this Pokemon Legends thing. It's just bringing back all the memories and just like what I've always wanted and never had. It's almost here. And like I was saying, this is not the open world Pokemon game that everyone has wanted, but it's taking the right steps. I know Mike Ehrmantraut once told Walter White, no half measures. This game is a beautiful half measure. For any of you Breaking Bad fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so happy to hear as like a Pokemon fan. Like that they have taken those steps and that it's actually turned out to be a good core gameplay experience. So excited.
Yeah, and I was talking to my partner last night. I was like, how disappointing is it going to be when they release the next generation of Pokemon, like the actual Sword and Shield sequel, and it goes back to the old mechanics? Like, I really hope they embrace the critical reception of this thing and take a lot of it and apply it to every Pokemon game ever made in the future. That easy. That simple. That's all I want. So yeah, I've taken down the first 2 bosses. One thing with the game as well, like the last thing, and then we'll move on. It was kind of pitched as an open world game when they first announced it, and then as time went on, they were like, well, not really open world. There's sections that you can explore. And those sections are way bigger than I imagined. There's pretty much 5 different locations or 5 parts of the map that you can explore. And like I was saying earlier with the discovery aspect, every single map is full of Pokemon, secrets, items, side quests, you name it, it's all there. Different biomes per area as well. Yeah, I love this game. I'll be playing it a ton tonight as well. I feel really bad for Nobody Saves the World because I want to beat that game still, but over the last week I've had no time. Before we move on, thanks for listening to my rambling Pokemon Legends adventures. Any questions about the game at all, or?
This sounds like if Pokemon met the lab class I had to take for college, Nature of New England.
Okay.
Did not realize it would be that much field research.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of field research, and I feel smart doing it too. Games don't make me feel that way very often.
What?
I know. Not since Brain Age for the Wii have I felt this good. So Pokemon Legends Arceus, I think I might try
I've got one more.
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
What's been your favorite moment so far?
My favorite moment so far? So it's incredibly subtle, but the characters are very emotive. Like they have facial reactions I've never seen. And there's like a specific shock face emoji that almost every character in the game does at one point. That's just like a toothless gap. Like it's fantastic. You have to go to YouTube to see what I just did. It's incredibly subtle, but I like that. And like I was saying, I did not watch any trailers going into this. I've been genuinely shocked and pleased by some of the new Pokemon variants in the game. So for all 3 starter Pokemon, the final evolutions have different forms than what you're used to. I do not know what they look like. I just saw what Typhlosions was this morning. I thought it was pretty dope. So that's a lot of the subtle things that I really enjoy. Not like any big moment. It's like the snowball of every small detail they've done just to make the entire experience better that I really enjoy. So like I was saying, I might try and find someone to do like a Pokemon Legends Arceus like game podcast once some people have more time to play it and beat it. So stay tuned for that. But Pokemon Legends Arceus is not the only game coming out that's a big deal. Dying Light 2 is on the horizon, and Jessica has been playing quite a bit of it. Jessica, I'd love to hear what you think of Dying Light 2.
Okay, so bear with me. It's going to be a little bit of
Yes.
a ramble for the first 5 minutes because, as you may have seen...
Can I start with a question?
Yes.
So, before anybody hops into Dying Light 2, should they play the first game, or is this a game that you can kind of just hop into without knowing the first game's context?
I never got around to playing the first game, and yeah, you absolutely can. It's a different character, different region.
City?
I think, yep, totally different city, and I think a different time period as well.
Okay, very cool.
Okay.
Different time period, like Roman era?
Oh no, just like I think maybe in the future. Yeah.
It's like Assassin's Creed, just
my god,
each game,
each Dying Light's a different location.
That'd be something.
Give me the Viking Dying Light game.
So this one doesn't. This one is in the near future after stop me if you've heard this one before, a virus has broken out and it's created zombies, but they're actually kind of like vampire zombies because they can't stand the sunlight. And if a human's been infected, as long as they've got sunlight or UV light on them, they're fine. They won't turn. But the basic gist of it is that it's a first-person like action adventure RPG with a large focus on parkour elements. So like Mayor's Edge, like just climbing like anything in the environment, basically. And their other big appeal was like killing zombies in like really cool ways.
These are like vast zombies, right? These aren't your George A. Romero slow zombies. These are like 28 Days Later-esque.
Yeah, so in the day there's kind of more slow and shambling because they've got the light on them, and but at night they can start to chase you. And I think that was a bigger deal in the first one than it is in this one. But you do get that like tense moment where you've accidentally alerted a screamer or whatever they're called, and suddenly you've got all these zombies chasing after you. Like, oh my god, I need to find somewhere quick. The basic like with Dying Light 2, not playing 1, I know this is a big step away. It's like it's more RPG, it's way bigger, it's got more stuff to do, but it's a giant hot mess of a game.
From what you know, would you say like Dying Light 1 was more of a sandbox, where Dying Light 2 is more of like a narrative and like personal journey? Because I had a roommate who played Dying Light 1 a lot, and whenever I looked over and saw him playing it, it seemed like he was just doing the same thing, like crafting, surviving, rinse and repeat. And he loved that sandbox in that world, but I don't remember any heavy story elements to it.
This definitely has more story elements in it, but it is one of the reasons why I think the one word people are going to be banding about this game for 8 or 2 probably. First one is Bethesda, because it's got a very Skyrim Fallout feel to it. But the reason it doesn't reach the heights of that is because it's really weird. Like, it's not like they're telling weird stories like what are they called? The Dark Brotherhood in Skyrim. Like, that's weird, but it's cool. Or the cannibal storyline in Fallout. Like, it's weird, but it's weird the way they do it. It's like they saw The Witcher and they saw Fallout and they saw all that, and they're like, okay, we need to make this character-focused stories. We don't just want fetch quests. We want you to go and do something. But one of the frustrating things is that you meet a character, they just tell you their whole life story. They basically tell you, here are my character traits, here's my life story, here's the thing I need you to do. And then you go do it, and then you give it to them, and then nearly every quest is, aha, but there's a twist. I'm secretly a good person, or I'm secretly a bad person. It kind of, they are fun in a what the hell is going on kind of way, but they're nowhere near the heights of, like, they got writers who did the Bloody Baron plotline from Witcher 3. They had the guy who worked on Fallout New Vegas, but it never reaches those heights. But I could excuse it because of the gameplay. But one of the negatives about the gameplay is that it's really buggy. So,
is it?
Yeah, it's not all the time. So about every 5 to 10 minutes, I'll go to hit a zombie and we'll both just clip through each other. He'll go flying off somewhere, and then I'll go into the group of zombies and start to get mauled on. I'm like, well, that was frustrating. That wasn't my fault.
Or that's not good.
Yeah, you'll get stuck in the environment. I've had to like heal myself a couple of times because apparently it just gets you out of the environment.
It's surprising too, because I feel like Dying Light, like this game has been delayed 3, almost 5 times. Like I feel like it was announced back in 2016, 2017 or something, and it's just been kind of in development hell ever since. So
I think the reason, because it has got that Bethesda thing, is because it's got so much going on that they've probably focused on some things and other things. One of the other kind of annoying glitchy things is the parkour. So with such a game that's so focused on climbing everything, doing everything, it, for me anyway, it glitched quite a lot. Like I'd want to jump forward and suddenly he was jumping this way down a cliff, or I unlocked wall running and I was like, oh my god, that's so cool, I'm gonna wall run. I didn't use it all that much, but because it's the same button as your jump, when I wanted to jump up somewhere, suddenly he was wall running this way and I'm like, oh no, well, I'm dead. It's stuff like that they've nearly got it, but it's not very cool. But the reason I call it a hot mess is because that was the first. So I did everything in the first little area. It took me about 35 to 40 hours. And that was like collectibles, side quests, main quests. And that was just the first area. I don't recommend people do that because the second area is what makes this game. It literally and figuratively like opens up.
Cool.
You get traversal equipment. So yes, you're doing parkour, but you also get a glider in this huge area. It's nothing like the first area you were in. I've barely done any parkour because I'm just flying around in the glider.
Yeah.
You get you I know you get a hook shot at some point. I haven't got it yet. I'm super ready for it.
What, a modern game with a grappling hook in it? What?
And wait, outrageous.
A bow. You get a bow in the second area. Yeah.
You can't do a grappling hook and a bow in the same game. What is this, Ocarina of Time? Come on.
This second area, it just makes the game. Like before, I was like, yeah, it can be good, but it's not quite there yet. The quests aren't quite there. It's not, the exploration isn't fun. It's just so much fun in the second area. Like what's on top of that building in the distance? I'll just go glide over there. And you do get rewarded. I found a cool Easter egg from another game. I won't spoil it.
Okay.
And the first one, which I guess would have hit a little bit more if I'd played the first one. And like I said about the combat, it can be glitchy and annoying when it gets like. Another thing I didn't mention is the reach seems a little weird. So you're trying to melee a zombie, but you've done it slightly off, so now you're getting killed. But that's just a small annoyance, because they have a focus on modding your weapon. So you'll put like a fire mod or a shock mod or a venom one. And one of my favorites, the fire one, because you hit one zombie and it just spreads everywhere. Yeah, they've got really cool fire mechanics. I accidentally hit one into a barrel and it went on fire and then the grass went on fire and I was like, I need to get out of here.
Oh no.
Yeah. And it also like gives you like the sound of it, because you're modding your own weapons. You can hear like a Bunsen burner type sound when you've got that weapon out. It's really cool. It's really satisfying. When you get upgrades, this is why I'd recommend people just do the story, get there as soon as you possible. You get like throwing knives. And you get the ability to stomp on a zombie's head. So when you have a combo of putting a zombie on fire, stomping on his head, throwing a knife, and then running away, it's so satisfying. The only thing that brings it down is those glitches.
I don't know why. I'm imagining like this as like a super hot mod where I'm like, I got my shurikens, I got my like all my weapons, I got these zombies coming towards me.
There's a lot of things you can do. Yeah, that's why I think maybe it has got these like Bethesda like glitches, because there's so much. Like I haven't even talked about there's stealth that you can do, which was kind of a little frustrating in the first one because you didn't have the bow, and it was it was hard to stealth kill a person over a zombie because they're a little bit smarter and they'll see you. With the bow, it's so much better. It makes like taking camps so much better.
Couple quick questions.
Yep.
When you said that you can climb anything or parkour anything, is that like fairly literal, or is it more of like an Uncharted where like you can see parts of the wall that you can grab and you're almost climbing like a Nathan Drake, or like can you just grab a building and start climbing it?
You can nearly climb everything. The only limitation is if that building is too high. Like you couldn't just start from the bottom of the tallest building and get up there. But if you found an air vent for your paraglider, you could start and then hook shot to somewhere else, and then that's the way you can climb. And it does have a focus on verticality. Like I remember the developers of Cyberpunk saying that, oh, this game is really vertical, so it's a smaller map, but it's vertical and you'll have more to do. I didn't really get it all that much in Cyberpunk. I get it 100% with Dying Light. It's not the biggest open world map you'll ever play, but there's so much going on in the levels of everything
I think
you're
we'll
doing.
talk about it in a bit after we're done with Dying Light, but Mark and I have been playing Horizon Zero Dawn, and the verticality of that game opens up, I feel like, so much potential exploration area. If the game was just like, flat earth, whatever, it'd be so boring. But because you have these hills, these mountains, these buildings you can climb, it really adds like a depth to the world, like literally and as a player. It's really cool.
Yeah, it makes it seem like real. Like obviously you've got these fantastic story elements, but it's you're not just blocked off from somewhere. You are rewarded for doing other things. And then the other thing I really liked about the second area is it opens up these like sort of like mini puzzles for turning on electricity in places. So you've got to like work out how to do it in this place, and it's another element that they do right, but that they've saved for later on in the game. So, actually, I don't understand. The first area is so like you're nearly there, and then the second area is like, why didn't you just make this the game?
Yeah,
I
weird. I
think that
wonder. Yeah, I wonder if it was something to do with the production. Like we were saying, like it's been so on and off, and maybe they started with an idea that transformed into something else halfway through.
I think maybe like even like some people were like, no, we want to keep it parkour. We want the
Yeah.
people to have parkour, so we're going to have this area. And they're like, but we want to do something new, so let's add a glider and a hook shot and all this stuff. I do recommend it to anybody who wanted. And that 500R quote they've got, I can see where they'd get that from, but you definitely won't unless you want to get every single one of their collectibles in the game, and there's quite a few.
That's good. Mark, did you play the first Dying Light at all, or any interest in Dying Light 2?
I think I'm now interested in Dying Light 2.
Yeah.
Because the big thing that really came out was like it's going to take 500 hours to complete the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys watched The Completionist.
Yes, yeah.
I feel like that was a direct shot at him. Like, oh, you're going to complete this. You're going to hate it and you're going to do it.
Well, I saw his Persona 5 video, and I think that game literally took him 500 hours to 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, Dying Light 2 looks great. I guess I have a couple more questions, if you don't mind, Jess, the expert. When you say there's like a lot going on screen, are you like looking at Days Gone or World War Z-esque hordes of zombies? Or is it like 10 to 15 you'll find in a group? Or is it like literally like a wave of zombies chasing you if you make a sound?
They are everywhere. You will not go down a street with a zombie, but they're not like you can walk down that street and like wave about them. You're not obligated to ever just stop and try and clear them out unless it's part of a quest.
Yeah.
Honestly, for a game about zombies are kind of like
the afterthought.
Side. Yeah, like an afterthought, but yet killing them is so much fun. There's so much. They had to focus on the survivors, like killing humans or fighting humans this time around, but it's just not as fun as the zombies because they don't dismember in the same way.
Yeah, yeah,
they don't have the same AI. Yeah. It is good because you also get rewarded for like apparently your character's sick and takes their heads as trophies, and that upgrades your weapon somehow. So
what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna use this dude's head to upgrade my bone arrow.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
You just don't understand. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I never took woodworking in high school. I guess maybe I missed something.
Fair. Yeah, I'm not a crafter. Maybe
and
that
then,
is.
See, I took home ec, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me too. I can make a hell of a batch of muffins, but. Last question about Dying Light. I know that there was a lot of talk in the lead up to it that this was going to be a decision-based game where multiple times throughout the game you'll be faced with a choice, and depending on how you answer, it can literally ripple effect throughout the entire game. Did you think that those were incredibly important to the narrative, or were those just like minor things that were changing?
I don't know because I haven't had a chance to go through the story twice and I haven't reached the end of the story yet. But you do get these moments like this, the screen will shake and it'll be like, this is an important decision. What are you going to do? And I've done those decisions.
Yeah. Did you feel the weight of the decision? Like, were you like hemming and hawing, or were you like, obviously this one? Like, was it an obvious choice every time?
Yeah, for me, it was an obvious choice every time. And also the main story of this, again, just super weird. Like, I don't know if people are going to like the main character. Those decisions, the smaller when you're doing side quests feels a little weird because sometimes he's called Aiden. Aiden will just say stuff on his own. Other times you'll get a response to be like, oh, we'll help this person. I won't help this person. And that often clashes with what I was doing because I was like, okay, I'll side with the survivors here and I'll help them out. And then I'll talk to someone else and he'd be like, well, I guess I'll help you out if you'll pay me. And I'm like, well, I wasn't going to say that.
In a post-apocalyptic world, just don't be rude to people. Like, you don't have many things left in life. Like, just be nice, you know?
Oh, every single character in this game needs that piece of advice.
Oh my God, everyone's a Negan.
Yeah. So with regard to the story, I don't know yet, but from what I've heard from a couple of other people, I don't think it's as big of a decision as they were making it out to be. Not tiny little butterfly effect decisions.
Yeah, I thought they were definitely like hyping it up, like this could change everything if you give water to these people or not. But like, who knows? So I was definitely curious about that. But that is Dying Light 2. I think that's coming out to pretty much everything, right, Jessica?
I believe, yeah, definitely PC, Xbox, and PlayStation.
And I think there's a cloud version coming to Switch later as well. I think
Yes,
there's
it got
a
delayed.
Yep. So you can play it pretty much everywhere at some point. It comes out, I believe, is it February 2nd is the release date?
February
Would that
4th
be
is the release date.
February 4th? Perfect. And from open world to open world, like I was saying a little while ago, Mark and I have both been playing Horizon Zero Dawn, but I definitely want to hear what Mark thinks about his adventure in the game so far. Have you beaten it? Are you still kind of just making your way through it slowly?
I'm just trying to platinum it, so it's like, yeah, there's the main story, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's the side quest, but I want those metal flowers.
Did you do what I did and spend 3 whole days ignoring the story and just doing collectibles? Because that was a lot of my week last week.
Yep.
From metal flowers to Banuk figurines to vantage points to ancient, there's so much to find in this game.
There's so much, and it's interesting with Horizon with me. So I got a PlayStation in 2018, just when Spider-Man came out, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I need a PlayStation. So there's so much PlayStation exclusives I've never experienced before. So I got God of War, a couple other games, Last of Us, and Horizon, and I played that, but it kind of like fell to like the wayside until recently, and it's so good.
It's so good. And I think one thing that doesn't help its legacy in general, the original Horizon Zero Dawn came out a week before Breath of the Wild, which means everybody played it for 5 days, and then a masterpiece came out. After playing Breath of the Wild, I was even talking to my partner, and she said, you can't climb things in Horizon like you can in Breath of the Wild. So when you go from a game where you can literally just scale anything to more of a game that's like Uncharted, find the ledge that looks very obvious that you can climb, it was whiplash. But 4 years after the release date, I'm playing this game and I'm like, why do people not talk about this game more often? Why was this not more people's game of the year? Besides the fact that it was 2017 and 20 amazing games came out that year.
At least.
Yeah, I'm really loving my experience. I think I'm like 85%, like in my terms of like my total completion of the main game. I think I'm around 85% done.
I'm around 65.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of podcasts to listen to over the last 5 days. So I'm like, you know what? Time to mute my TV, play Horizon, and listen to some podcasts. But I guess what are your thoughts on the story and I guess Aloy as a character so far, Mark?
Aloy, I think, is one of the best PlayStation characters.
I think she's one of the best like characters in a long time. And there's a part of me that wanted to say like as like a woman protagonist, but like, I think even she's better than like so many more of the men protagonists I know in games too. She is fully formed at the gate. Like she has great morals. She knows who she is. I mean, not literally, but she knows who she is as a person. And I love her as a character.
And it's not like, oh, she's like just one thing. There's a lot of different facets. She's funny, she's smart, she's kind, but she'll be pissed at you.
She's sympathetic, but at the same time, if you cross the line with her, you can't uncross that line.
Exactly.
Well, actually, maybe you can. But...
And it's interesting how you both mentioned the open world. And I think more with Kyle of how like fascinated you are. So I don't have good eyesight. So I'm looking at the TV and you get these collectibles and they tell you a little about the world. I'm like, what is it? I don't care. But this one, I'm like, oh, wow, that's fascinating. And it's so interesting without going into spoilers how a game is centered around hope, like way after the apocalypse. But then when you get the details of the apocalypse, it's really messed up.
Yeah. Yeah, I was doing that a couple days ago and I was genuinely like shocked by what I was seeing and hearing.
Yeah, especially if Elon Musk type kind of screws the world over.
Yeah, who saw that coming?
Yeah, and then screws it up again. So, cautionary tale? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah.
I don't know.
Like, I think story-wise, I'm probably just over halfway through. Like, I've been spending so much time not doing story. I've been doing side quest, errands. Let me just say, I don't want to do the hunting ground missions. I'm not sure if you've done many of those.
Thank you. I don't, like...
I want to
I would, like,
game.
restart from the save, and then I just suck at it, and I'm like, all right. I'm just gonna go to an earlier save, and I'm just gonna do other stuff.
Yeah, it's a shame that realistically, I'll probably get to like 98% of this game done and then just not do the hunting grounds because I don't. They're time trials for anybody who doesn't know. It's like try and kill X amount of machines under a minute, or try and do this very specific thing where you turn an animal against another. It's a lot of stuff that the game doesn't always want to cooperate with you while you're doing it. It feels like it's almost working against you to make it more frustrating. So yeah, I just want to clear that up. I do not want to do those, but I will have to eventually.
I want to shout out Connor Mitchell, who writes a lot of guides and achievement trophy guides on KeenGamer. If you look on his Twitter feed, and I don't know his Twitter username, he completes and gets so many platinum games, and meanwhile, I'm like 50%. Good job, Mark.
Yeah, I saw him laying out his like platinum strategy for Uncharted 2 days ago. He's like, "Here's my plan. First, do this. Second, do that." I'm like, "This is incredible." I just played the game.
Like, man, I wish I had that motivation. I don't.
Is there a dinosaur? What are they just called dinosaurs in the game? Machines?
I don't know, because it's like I feel like it's like the Power Rangers problem of like the original. Like it's like, yeah, there's dinosaurs, and then there's like the Ice Age like mastodons.
Yes, yeah.
Well, that's more for the sequel, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
Oh, there's a saber tooth. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, the giant birds. Like the combat in this game feels really good. And as somebody who was just playing Dark Souls like a week or two ago, like almost every enemy encounter feels like you're fighting for your life, which is so fun. But of course, as you play more, you get stronger weapons, you get stronger outfits, you get almost like with Dying Light 2, you get fire-tipped arrows, lightning, frost, whatever you need. So right now, like when I'm in combat, I have like 12 different ways I can handle the situation, whether it's tripwires or bombs. Are you enjoying like the versatility of all your weapons? Or are you just using your bow and arrow for the most part?
Most of it is bow and arrow, but like if I'm in a pinch, I will use like that tripwire or that I think it's the rattler. It's basically like the little machine gun.
Yep. Yeah, that's great too.
And this game is so beautiful. And I think it has one of the best detective visions. You know, the mode, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, this is the collectible you need, or this is the weakness. And when we talked about Guardians, it was just like purple, or what even the color was.
A color. It was just a color, I think.
It was just a color, but it's kind of like, it just, with this game, it accents it with a little purple, but it still doesn't take away from the art of the game.
Yeah. And I guess like, so neither of us have beaten the game, but do you have already any hopes or expectations for the sequel when it comes out in less than a month?
Oof.
I know.
It's the 18th. Let's go.
Guys, yeah, it's going to be a busy year for games.
Yeah, February. Stacked games.
Yeah, I played 2 games this year, Nobody Saves the World and Pokemon Legends, and any other year, those are already top 10 games for me, and I'm like, it's only January. Like...
That, or I think more expectations, not so much with the story, but like, what are you going to do with the DualShock?
Oh, interesting. I haven't thought about that at all. Oh, interesting.
Because especially with the bow and arrow, and I feel like the only one who's really nailed it is the Astro's Playroom demo that you get.
Yeah.
And it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, because that's one thing. You can play Horizon on the PS5, and I think it runs at 60 FPS, and it has improved loading times, but it doesn't have any DualSense features. It doesn't have any really specific PS5 feature. So I haven't even thought about what I would how that controller will feel in my hand. I've had to reduce the you know how the triggers tense up when you're doing shooting games. I've had to reduce the sensitivity of that because I was like, my middle finger is going to be more swole than my other fingers. So just from like doing that one action, I had to like push down so hard. But with Horizon, the new one, they're really advertising it as like, you're going to be able to swim underwater and underwater exploration. And I'm like, 35 years of video games, and I don't think we've nailed underwater levels still. So I'm really
isn't that what gamers want? Underwater levels?
Move slowly, weird 360 controls, great music, but everything else is awful. So that's my only like concern right now is like they're focusing on like underwater elements and like that being instead of extra verticality, climb a mountain or go under the ocean. I just hope it plays well, because man, I don't want to spend like half the game underwater and not enjoying it.
I only seen like a little footage, and they came out with like a story trailer, and I won't give anything away, but it looked amazing. So much so, I'm like, all right, bye Horizon Forbidden West. I'll see you when I actually play the game.
Yeah, my partner was telling me all about that story trailer, and I haven't watched it because I don't know how the first game ends still, so I don't want to be accidentally spoiled the day before I get there.
I don't think it like actually spoils anything. I think the big spoiler is a surprise cast member.
Okay.
That's like, shoot, you got this star?
Interesting. They got Batista? I hope that'd be dope, but I doubt it. In the main game, I actually just got to the part where you meet Lance Reddick like in person for the first time, and I was like, oh my god, I forgot Lance Reddick was in this game. That's dope.
It is.
Yeah.
And the actor who plays Aloy, I don't know her name, but I'm like,
Birch.
wait, Ashley Birch. She sounds so familiar. And if you guys have Apple TV Plus and you just finished Ted Lasso, as you should, she is on Mythic Quest. And I'm like,
episode
3 of season 1.
Yep, I just started it 3 days ago or 2 days ago.
So, that show, very good.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. Ashley Birch is probably one of my favorite voice actresses in terms of like Life is Strange, Horizon Zero Dawn. She did one of my favorite games last year called The Red Lantern. Like, she is just one of those people. So when I saw her actually acting in this Mythic Quest TV show, I'm like, good for voice actors. Like, they are more than just a voice. Like, they have, way more talents than, some TikToker who's going to be on the new season of Emily in Paris for some reason. Anyway, that's a weird...
Don't make fun of Emily in Paris, Kyle. You take that back right now.
I know. Peyton Manning will kickball me. I don't know sport analogies.
He's going to get kickballed.
What's it called when you kick the ball?
Oh, no, he's going to kickball you.
Oh, my God. That sounds awful.
Hopefully it's not like kick, comma, ball.
Hi, I'm Kyle. Welcome to Jackass. This is Peyton Manning. Well,
by the way, your tweet about the Jackass movie, I'm like, really? That's your most anticipated? And then it just made me tear up reading the thread. I'm like, God damn it, Kyle.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I grew up with those guys. I'm just glad that they're all mostly happy and sober and still not like dead. Well, for the most part.
But did you also knock on wood?
I just knocked on wood really hard. Yeah, I'm not sure if you heard it, but
I did.
Give it a third. There we go.
Yes, thank you, Jessica.
If you didn't, Jessica, it was all on you.
Yeah,
it's all on me.
The third knocks the charm. How did we get here? We were talking about Horizon a second ago, right?
You made fun of Emily Paris. How dare you?
Yep. Yeah. This is usually how I always get in these situations. So
stop making fun of Emily in Paris then.
It is a Netflix top 10 according to them.
According to them. Well, I think that's going to be a wrap on the games that we're playing for now. So to recap, you heard me talk about Pokemon Legends Arceus, you heard Jessica talk about Dying Light 2, and then you heard some chat about Horizon Zero Dawn, which I have to keep not calling Forza Horizon Zero Dawn. And now we segue into the news. And the first news story caught my eye because Blizzard has been in the news a lot over the last, we'll say, 15 months or so. And usually the news involves Overwatch 2 delayed, Diablo has been delayed. But this newest article, this newest story, they have just announced a new survival game, which will be their first new IP since 2016's Overwatch. And kind of just to read this quote from Blizzard themselves, Blizzard is embarking on our next quest. We are going on a journey to a whole new universe, home to a brand new survival game for PC and console. A place full of heroes we have yet to meet, stories yet to be told, and adventures yet to be lived. A vast realm of possibility waiting to be explored. So, very generic, not a lot of actual details there besides, hey, you guys like making stuff in Minecraft? We're going to try that too. Jessica or Mark, any like initial reactions to Blizzard announcing a new game while all of this kind of controversy and drama and delays of their other games are still existing?
It is crazy. Like,
it is crazy.
It's like, are you sure about this? Like, hey, I don't play Overwatch or any other games, but that sounds interesting. However, if you have so many problems going on, don't add another problem. This won't be another problem.
Yeah. And like, I think they're hiring for this game. If they have an idea, they need to hire staff for it, and that makes sense. But like, there's a more subtle way you can hire staff for your new game without just announcing a new IP. Yeah, so like Blizzard and me, I've only ever really played Overwatch. I'm not a WoW guy. Never really played Diablo. I'm curious about this thing, but I've talked to both of you several times about how I'm just waiting for these other games to come out that were announced 5 years ago. This new survival game that they're announcing in 2022. What's your when do you think this game comes out, Jessica? If you were to bet on a release
At least
date?
2042, right? About a year after we get Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4.
Yeah, exactly. Like we have to get other games first before we even get this new IP. The only ounce of excitement I would have for this thing is that this is going to be the first Blizzard game under Microsoft's watch, hypothetically, and it could bring some good changes to the company's name. Like maybe no loot boxes would be pretty cool, just to start. Yeah. Any other thoughts about this thing? I kind of wanted to bring it up because like it's weird that they would do this. It's like if Chris Noth announced a new movie right now. It's like something just got canceled, being like, "Oh, I'm still doing stuff." I don't know.
It's kind of like Del Toro announcing like, "I'm going to work on this."
Yeah.
But it's like, but you have 10 things.
Yeah.
But the good thing is Del Toro, not that toxic.
A better example, it's like George R.R. Martin saying, "I'm working on a game called Elden Ring instead of my book that you've been waiting for 15 years."
Yeah, everyone's like, "Stop! No!"
Give him credit. Elden Ring is actually coming out.
That's true.
It went gold, but still.
I read some things about the servers that they've had to take down recently, but I'm sure it'll be fixed by the time that game comes out. I'm not sure if you guys read. They had to pull the Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 servers from PC because there is a new hack that if somebody invaded your world in Dark Souls, they could just hack your PC directly.
What?
Yeah, so FromSoft had to shut down all the Dark Souls servers on PC, and they were using that same server, I believe, for Elden Ring. So they have to get it fixed by that release date.
Wow, people are really sneaky.
Yeah.
Well, people make fun of me for not doing PC gaming. Well,
yeah, here's why, right?
Don't mind me.
So Blizzard has a new survival game. We know nothing about it. We'll talk about it more when we get a trailer in 2025. But actually, this is a good segue. Speaking of Dark Souls and Elden Ring, our next story. So Hideki Miyazaki, Miyazaki, I'll say, I don't know how to pronounce the first name, recently sat down with somebody at PlayStation Blog to talk about the difficulty of his games and Elden Ring in general. And Miyazaki is confident that more people will beat this game than any of the other Dark Souls games in the past before. And to read his quote, he started by saying something about the Souls games in general, which is, "I feel like our approach to these games, not just Elden Ring, is to design them to encourage the player to overcome adversity. We don't try to force difficulty or make things hard for the sake of it. We want players to use their cunning, study the game, memorize what's happening, and learn from their mistakes." And then he goes on to explain how, well, Elden Ring isn't technically easier than any of those other games. He is allowing more stealth-based options for people who want to avoid fights. Elden Ring naturally being an open world game, if you get stuck on the west side of the map, maybe just go over to the east and explore a little bit. Go to the north, go to the south. So I don't think either of you two are major Souls fans, correct?
I've only played Demon's Souls for PS5.
Right, yeah, we were talking about that recently. So does hearing that Elden Ring could be easier to roll credits on intrigue you to play it? Or is it still kind of like, you guys have fun with your Elden Ring, I'll be over here playing not Forza, Horizon Forbidden West?
It does. Yeah, you go ahead, Mark.
Actually, no, you go ahead, Jessica.
Oh, I was going to say I suck at stealth as well, so
yeah. So that does not help
if
you
it's
at
either
all.
Stealth or fight this really hard boss, I'm like, well, I'm just going to die.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this was taken from a video interview, but I'm just imagining when he said the quote, like if you read it just from the text, like, yeah, it should be a little easier. But I feel like in the video, he's giving like a sly glint and like, I don't know.
He's just like holding in laughter the entire time.
Yeah, like, yeah, it's gonna be easier for players. Cut that from the interview. Oh, no.
It's the next Kirby.
But he does make a good point. Like, you don't have to be like in this world, in this section. Like you can like dance around a bit because of this open world design. But keep in mind, it's still going to be hard as hell. That's why it's a Dark Souls game
And
or Dark Souls like.
Maybe just to touch on this, like this incredibly this topic that never really dies. Do you guys think that there should be difficulty settings in these kind of games, or do you think they are made with a specific design in mind and the creator's design is what should be executed on the disc?
I don't think I could speak to it because I don't play a lot, like for just in general. But for me, it would make I'd buy it basically. Yeah. I would finally be able to finish Bloodborne, which I loved, but I was really bad at.
If there was an easy, medium, and hard mode, and you're like, yeah, put me on easy, put me on like one hit KOs on all the enemies, and
or just like a slider, so like I don't know, just something I'd be like, yes, I can experience this for myself and do it. But again, I'm not a huge fan of these games, so.
Mark, what about you? Do you think a difficulty setting, like you've been playing Demon Souls, do you feel like a difficulty setting would be nice? Or do you think that you go in, you kind of do what he said, we're trying to teach players to learn from their mistakes. We're trying to teach players to recognize boss patterns, which is what we used to do back in the NES and SNES days anyway. Or should it be a modern video game? Accessibility is incredibly important and more people should play the game that way.
So how many games out in the industry right now in like the past 10 years is like a Demon Souls or just the Souls? I mean, there's a couple, like I think Cuphead, and I put that in like in the Throne controller category. Like it's not a big category. It is like to compliment a game saying like, oh, it's Souls like, and these are two very talented people and the whole company. So if that's their vision, have at it.
Yeah.
But yet again, if someone like Jessica, who is a little like afraid of these games, like why would you want to play something or watch something if you're not going to like it?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And like my stance, and like I'm definitely, this is just a subjective opinion, is that like video games are like any other medium, whether it's movies, television, whatever, books. The movie Dune was not for everyone, but they're not going to make like a cartoon version of Dune for people who want to see an animated it's a weird allegory or analogy, but like not every movie is for everyone. If I really wanted to see this Finnish movie but I don't speak Finnish, then like unfortunately that's just something I have to either like watch with subs or dubs or work around with. But for a video game, I feel like if a creator like a Kojima or a Miyazaki has an idea, I think it's totally up to the player to kind of work around or with the creative on that. But just my humble opinion on that.
Yeah, you don't go to David Lynch and say, "Hey, can your movies be a little more mainstream and not weird?"
That's exactly what I mean. Like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, what's a good recent weird movie that everyone was talking about? We'll say
Malignant.
I was just gonna say Malignant, Jessica. So imagine if I wanted to watch Malignant, but I don't like scary movies. Can you make me the PG version of Malignant, please, so I can like consume this media? Thank you.
It's a buddy movie.
It's a buddy comedy all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to spoil Malignant.
No, don't. But it is a buddy movie.
Imagine if it was like Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson.
Well, who would, without spoiling it, who would be the front and who would be the back? I feel like Owen Wilson's hair could actually cover it. But yet again, Owen Wilson would probably be like the back kind of character. Like, wow, what's going on?
You'd see his nose poking out. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work.
Oh, wow. It'd be the hair and then just a nose. It'd be like Cousin It from Ed Addams Family.
I want them to do like a scary movie version of this.
Yes, yes. Bring back scary movie.
I know you're trying to make like the argument of like, no, you can't change these things, but guess what? We just came up with a great idea.
You know what? Dear Hollywood. So yeah, that's going to be it for the Elden Ring chat. Hopefully more people are able to hop into it. I know it does look a lot different than a Sekiro, a Bloodborne, a Dark Souls. So hopefully more people are able to hop in and enjoy it at their own pace and not kind of what the game is forcing them to have to do. And then our last news story of the day. Boy, oh boy, was I excited when I read this one. The Rock, you may have heard of him, is yeah. So I don't remember what year. I want to say 2016, 2017. They made a movie about the retro arcade game Rampage, and The Rock starred in that one. I didn't see it. I may have saw it at work once at my old job. It looked fine, but last week or this week, The Rock was out there again saying he is part of another video game movie or another video game that's being turned into a movie. So let's play a little game called Can You Smell What Movie The Rock is Making? And I wrote down multiple choice. Gears of War, God of War, Fortnite, or Kirby's Epic Yarn. Which one of those four do you think The Rock is turning into a movie? Jessica.
I mean, I would love it to be Kirby's Epic Yarn. Not animated, live action.
Kirby. Live action. The Rock as Kirby. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah.
I'm just imagining The Rock as Kirby, like swallowing enemies, him just going like, ah.
It doesn't matter what your form is.
Trying to eat like Kevin Hart. He's like stuck in his teeth or something. Because Kevin Hart has to be in this movie. Kevin Hart is Waddle Dee. There we go. Jack Black is King DDD, and now it's just Jumanji.
Yeah. Man, Jack Black is taking up the market of Nintendo villains.
Yeah. But in all seriousness, when you hear The Rock is making another video game movie, do you guys have any idea where this could be going? You think Gears of War?
Yeah, I think it is Gears of War. Or like maybe Call of Duty.
I've been hearing a lot of God of War. Like I know a lot of people that are like, you put some makeup on this guy, give him a beard, he's Kratos.
I mean, yeah, I can definitely see that.
Is he a good Kratos? I don't think so.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I was like, man, he'd make such a The Rock film with this. Don't do that.
What Kratos in particular? Are we talking about like the 2018 God of War? I don't think so. I feel like he does. I would be surprised, but like the early, like rage-filled taking down Zeus, I feel like, yeah, I can see that.
Good Interesting. Point. Yeah, actually, that's more like The Rock.
I assumed 2018 God of War because I thought The Rock is kind of building this image for himself as like maybe less of a badass and more of just like a fun dude, which I guess is not 2018. Not 2018
yeah, I was Kratos.
Say. I'm not sure if he was a fun dude per se.
I never played that game. Is that what it is? He's just...
But I think The Rock is probably more interested in telling a story that has some like familiar territory, like a father and a son, whereas the OG God of War games are just carnage and violence, essentially, with like, you know, his wife, and he does have a kid before in that trilogy as well. But like, I think he would want to be like, we're doing a story-based, character-driven God of War movie, not the mindless action version of God of War, which I think the first game would be adapted into, essentially. But Gears of War, so I never played Gears of War. Do you think that's a good idea?
Oh, yeah. And I think it does make sense because of the Microsoft connection. Because if you look back in the first reveal, very famously, like he introduced it with Bill Gates.
Yep.
And Gears of War, while I only played a little bit, is, as he said in the interview, super popular franchise. I don't know the sales, but probably did really good.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at him in like that mech suit kind of thing, yeah, I can see it.
I can imagine. I can see it out now. 2 years, we get the Gears of War movie reveal trailer. Cue Mad World by Gary Jules, and it's The Rock doing like recreating the original trailer for Gears of War.
That would be so cool.
That's like one of my favorite trailers of all time, and just like that song, the atmosphere, the big spider boss that appears at the end, like that'd be cool. I haven't played Gears of War, but I could see that for sure being an option. And I guess I kind of jokingly, but also not jokingly, wrote down Fortnite, because it should be known that The Rock is currently the protagonist in the Fortnite game. Like, he is a character. There's a statue of his character on the island right now. Are they going to try and do like Space Jam 2, like one of these like kind of metaverse movies where you're going to see, in the Fortnite movie, you can see Kratos and Master Chief jump rope together because Fortnite has those skins in their game. Like,
you know, I don't even think they need to do that because their own characters are kind of becoming more iconic. Like The Rock, what's he called, the Foundation or something? They've got Jonesy. Like, I see their pop vinyls stacking the shelves whenever I go shopping. Like, I feel like kids go see it no matter what. You don't need those tie-ins are kind of like more, sounds weird considering it's all cartoony, but kind of more like for adult players. Like, I'm like, oh my god, that's Jill Valentine, I'm buying that.
Yeah.
Or as a kid, it was like, I'll just play the free Jonesy character. That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't think they do that, so they don't need to anyway.
I think maybe like the core cast of characters in the movie is the Fortnite originals, your Jonesy, your Fishman, whatever else is going on there, your banana dude. And then in the background, maybe you stumble upon Ryu and Chun-Li. Maybe that's where you get the cameos from other video game characters, almost like a Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I don't know. Mark, any other ideas of what this could be?
I know Brie Larson is doing a Fortnite movie.
Oh, interesting. Oh,
there is a Fortnite movie?
They did announce. Right. I covered this on the podcast like 5 weeks ago.
Kyle, that was my podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
They did announce a Fortnite movie with Brie Larson. But like I said, is The Rock going to be a part of it? Who knows? Does The Rock go back to Doom? Because that Doom movie exists, and boy, could it be better.
Yeah, in comparison, yes.
But yeah, any other guesses, or kind of just like we'll see what happens? Like for all we know, this could be like Pitfall. I mean, like he made a Rampage movie. What about Pac-Man? Like maybe The Rock loves arcade games, and he's like, you know what needs to come back? Mousetrap or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did he say it was a video game? Because wasn't Rihanna in the film Battleship off the board game Battleship?
Right.
If that could be a movie.
Yeah. The Rock's the game of life. I don't know. I'd play it. Welcome to the Candyland. I'm The Rock.
Welcome to Monopoly.
But he has to say it like that. Welcome to Monopoly.
I was going to say Clue, but I'm like, oh, wait, they already made a Clue movie, and they're going to make it again with Ryan Reynolds or Ryan Reynolds' production company.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Watching that, I actually really like the first one. It's so camp, it's so great.
Yeah, OG
it's so underrated. Come on,
really
Tim
good.
Curry.
So the news article about The Rock appearing or making another video game movie definitely made me ponder the question, what video games could be turned into good movies? So our topic this week is just that. Myself, Mark, and Jessica have each chosen 3 franchises or individual games that we think could be turned into a movie. And we were talking about it before we went live, but I think it's very important to know some video games would make good movies, some of them would make great TV shows. So this specific question is about what video game would make a good 90-minute, 2-hour movie. We don't know each other's lists, which is very fun. I'll be honest in telling you guys I was this close to putting Resident Evil on my list, because while there have been Resident Evil movies, has there ever actually been a Resident Evil movie? You know what I mean? So let's go first. How about eeny, meeny, miny, Mark? Let's have you tell us your number 3.
Ooh, I get chosen. So my number 3 is, it's a little interesting because when I'm pitching this movie, it's going to sound like a video game.
Okay.
So I'm imagining this is going to be on Netflix because they've done this kind of thing. But give me Until Dawn.
I also looked at that on my list. And would you want it to be as like a Bandersnatch? Are you playing the movie, or is it just a straight up movie?
We're playing the movie. We're using the choices. So that's why in my pitch, yeah, it's also like a video game. But they're kind of doing that more and more. Like, weird reference, but Too Hot to Handle. Okay, it's not a choose your own adventure. Like, is Chloe going to hook up or is she going to abstain?
She does. She hooks up every time.
No, she doesn't. Chloe is pure.
Okay, I didn't know that. I haven't watched the show.
If you watch a YouTube version, Jessica is judging me right now. Like, what are you doing?
What is Too Hot to Handle?
I just have no context for this.
Exactly.
I'm just confused.
But in that, there's like voting. It's like, what's the reaction? It'll have like emojis or like something like that. So I feel like Netflix does want to go interactive. So why not do an interactive video game? And they actually already did that with like the Minecraft Telltale. Where basically they just, what I'm like assuming, they just took the game and they put it on there, but you can choose.
Yeah.
Like the big decisions.
Yeah, I think that's actually a port of that game. Whereas like your Until Dawn pitch, you'd want it to be like refilmed with the actual actors, right? Or are you just porting the game to Netflix?
No. But if I pitch that to Netflix, they'll be like, oh, that's actually not a bad plan.
So when I was looking at Until Dawn, the caveat I thought of was like, I would love the original cast to come back if they were doing an Until Dawn movie. I don't know if Rami Malek comes back. I think he's too big for Until Dawn now.
Just a little
he
bit.
should have not won the Oscar. That's That doesn't even tie into the conversation. I'm just
that is
saying
not that is not a hot take. That is, I think, one of
I know.
I totally agree with you.
He
But
won it that year.
Oh, for it was Rami Malek for Best Actor for
Oh, sorry.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Who do you think should have won it? Sorry.
Yeah, I don't even remember what else came out that year.
I think A Star Is Born. It wasn't a good. It wasn't a good Best Actor race, but
Bohemian Rhapsody. Like Roma. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Until Dawn is a good pick. Like I said, I'd want almost like them to just keep the script, keep the same choices. Like there's some really, maybe unlike Dying Light 2, there are choices in Until Dawn where I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? Like I have to choose one person to save and one to kill right now. But if you could film it with the live action stars, I know Hayden Panettiere is not doing anything, so.
No, and she should because she's awesome.
She's dope, yeah.
Yeah. My other thing was I was thinking of Until Dawn as well, but like Until Dawn's whole thing was like it's kind of like one of those 80s horror films. So you'd just be making another one, but to be fair, you put the Until Dawn name on it and I'd go watch it anyway, but I wasn't thinking of interactive stuff, so that would be a good unique thing with turning it into a movie.
What was that one trilogy of movies that Netflix did? Was it Fear Street?
Yeah, Fear Street, yeah.
I didn't watch it, but listen, Netflix in 80s type horror.
Like Stranger Things. Work. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Exactly. The people want it.
And it's relatively like the other two games I'll talk about, like that's some big budget stuff. But this one, it's not as big. Unless Rami Malek's like, no, you gotta give me 40 million.
I'm an Oscar-winning actor, if you didn't know. So yeah. One thing as well, before we move on from Until Dawn, I was looking at the other Supermassive games as well. I was like, what about a Man of Medan or a House of Ashes? But it's all kind of the same idea in all of those games. So Jessica, I would love to hear what your number 3 pick is for a game that could be a good movie.
Well, yeah, I was talking to you before the show, and I had the thing of, well, this would be a good movie. Like at first, I was like, oh, well, Metal Gear Solid. I'm like, wait, hold on, that's becoming a thing, and like all these other things will be a movie. So I kind of just went back on like what were my favorite games, and I didn't just go for favorite story. So one of my old favorite games that I love playing, and I think it would be a perfect like Hollywood movie. Like it's everything they love in it, and that would be Time Splitters.
Oh my god.
I don't know if these are Time Splitters fans, but Future Perfect was one of my favorite games growing up, and it's got like you could have like these big action set pieces, but it's also really funny. Like it's got that really specific like Hollywood humor, like you know like sometimes it appears in the Marvel films. Like you can have a dumb joke and it's fine. It's for the whole family. And just talking about The Rock, if Vin Diesel wasn't available because Cortez was based after him, he could star in Time Splitters.
Yeah, that's a great pick.
I love it. I think it would be great because you have like the time travel and stuff. So like my favorite one, Future Perfect, you were in like 1920 Scotland, and then you were in the 60s with like groovy hippies, and then you were in the 90s and it had zombies. Like I think it would just be such a fun film.
That'd be really cool. And like it's the universe that exists within Time Splitters that's so cool. Like, it's the characters, it's the rules of that world that just make it so cool and unique, and like a pretty fresh idea. This like we see so many sci-fi movies, but Time Splitters still feels unique in its concept.
Yeah, like I know it's got time travel and all that, but it's just like you said, the characters, like there's like 20, 40 characters who could make like a cameo, and they've all got their thing, all got their themes going on with them.
Honestly, when you're describing it, like I know you're pitching it as a movie, but if it was a TV show, it'd almost be like a DC's like Legends of Tomorrow, where like every episode is like, now we're in the 50s, now we're in Renaissance era, whatever.
I thought of this too because I was like, this is like Doctor Who. Like you can just go wherever, do whatever. Like I'd go into a planet or whatever. Like It's so again another one where I was like, yeah, video games would be better as a TV show, but I still think it would make one of those ones that Hollywood were like, oh yeah, we want this. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger would have started this in the 90s.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. It'd be Schwarzenegger and Stallone against each other in this thing.
Perfect. Watch it.
Yeah. So my number 3, I was looking at my list of all my games and I was like, what do I do with this? There's too many to choose from. I wouldn't mind seeing any of these adapted into a video game or a TV show. But my number 3 is The Lights Go Down, The World Needs a Hero, Wait, do you hear that music? Whose music is that? Is that Little Mac? Oh my god. Nintendo is making a Punch-Out movie. because there aren't enough good boxing movies out there. I mean, there's Creed, and I love Creed, but there aren't more boxing movies than Creed out there. So I'm imagining a Miles Teller perhaps playing Little Mac. I think Miles Teller is like pretty short. Not that that really matters. I think it'd just be fun to have like an up and coming Rocky-esque story told by Nintendo in a live action environment. I don't have much more than that. Like, I just was like, I'd watch a Punch Out movie because I like Rocky, and there isn't enough Rocky clones out there. If done correctly, and like with all the villains in Punch Out, like Glass Joe, and you probably don't get Mike Tyson involved, but you could if you wanted to. Great characters, great soundtrack. It'd just be like a fun romp of a movie, I think. So, Punch Out.
I would cast Zac Efron. I think he's 5'7".
Oh, it's 5'7".
Like,
I had a
like how short are we talking about? Because I think Miles Teller is also like 5'7".
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, not like Tom Cruise short. Like, I don't want like
also 5'7". I'm part of the 5'7" club. Proud member.
I'd written down Miles Teller or Andrew Garfield as Little Mac. I don't know why. I'm just on an Andrew Garfield kick right now for some reason. Who knows why? So Punch Out. Yeah, not much else to say there. I think it'd be a fun movie. Mark, what is your number 2?
So it's funny that we already talked about this game, but give me Horizon. Just a world set in Horizon. And I know, like, honestly, like, the top 2 entries could also be TV shows because I talked about the richness of this world. But I think if you just put this in a movie, like, it's going to be a spectacle. Like, imagine seeing that in IMAX.
Oh, my God. I think one thing too with these like bigger open world games that would be hard to turn into movies, like if you cut out all the side quests and Metal Flowers and Ancient Vessels from Horizon, how long is that game really just story? 10 hours, 15 hours, no side quests, just the main campaign. I think if you cut out a lot of the fat, you can adapt that into a decent movie.
And it wouldn't take, like elements from the game. It wouldn't be a direct storyline.
Yeah.
But I think at least 2 hours and 25 minutes, not including credits, you can get a lot done.
Yeah, and in a world where a Monster Hunter movie exists, in a world where a Monster Hunter world, oh my God, in a world where Monster Hunter movie exists, that was so hard to say.
In a world where a Monster Hunter movie exists, one movie will try to redeem the whole idea of video game movies.
Detective Pikachu 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like that movie exists, and I did not watch it. I love Monster Hunter, but I heard such crap things about it. I heard that they really westernized a lot of the mechanics of the game, and like, oh, Mia Djokovic has an assault rifle in this movie because why not? It's a girl with a gun, I guess. But like Horizon Zero Dawn could easily be adapted into a movie. The quality in the story and the characters are there, and you could easily adapt them from game to movie. End of sentence. Goodbye.
And I would love like the story. Yes, Aloy, that would be really cool as well. But it would be like such that Jurassic Park wonder of seeing a robot dinosaur for the first time. Those opening scenes, like that they did so well in the first Jurassic Park. That would be. I'd go see the movie for those alone.
Yeah, 100%. Like it'd be very reminiscent of like seeing Jurassic Park for the first time, and you see a tall neck walking with its like head above the trees and all this stuff. That'd be really cool, and it'd be dope too if in this fictional world we're creating where this movie exists, if Ashley Birch just wants to play Aloy in the movie, please do that.
Yeah.
I can't think of what it is. Recently, they announced Sonic 2. The voice actress for Tails is going to be playing Tails in the movie, and that's amazing that they didn't try and cast like Charlize Theron or something as Tails. Like, I'm happy that we live in a world where voice actors are able to be the voice of the character, even in Mandalorian and Boba Fett, where you have actors who voiced characters in Clone Wars, and then when the real life version of that character appeared in the show, it's just the voice actor. I love that so much for voice actors everywhere.
Agreed.
Yeah, they should have had the voice actor for Nathan Drake play him in the movie. I can't remember his name. Only the most famous voice actor of all time.
Nolan North?
Yeah, Nolan North.
For a second, I was like, oh my God, is it Nolan North? But yeah.
I almost said Troy Baker, but I'm like, no, that's the other guy.
Me too. And I'm like, Troy Baker. Evan and I thought about NFTs. I'm like, never mind.
Anything else about Horizon as a movie that you think would be really cool?
I don't know. Let's go to Sony right now. Well, okay, after the podcast.
Yeah. We'll see. Honestly, we'll see how Uncharted does at the box office. I think that'll be very interesting to track, because if it does well, we could be on the way to seeing more Sony games turned into movies, i.e., God of War. Last of Us is currently being adapted to an HBO show at the moment. So Uncharted could really like make or break the future of Sony's video game movies.
And
I
Ghost of
got some
Tsushima,
bad
actually.
news for you.
I know.
Not going to do well.
It's not going to do well. Jessica, what were you saying?
Forgot about the Ghost of Tsushima movie that's coming out as well. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so we'll see how all that does. Jessica, what is your number 2 video game that could be a good movie?
So I guess this is kind of like your Punch-Out one, where you're like, yeah,
could be.
But yeah, Hotline Miami, because
sick.
Yeah, like I guess when you're like, oh, I'd really like to see an ultra-violent movie, it sounds like a bit sick. But Hotline Miami was inspired by Drive. I don't know if you saw. Yeah, like, and that was incredible movie.
I love Drive.
Love it. I think if you got like the director of John Wick, what was he called? Chad Stahelski?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. If you got him to direct it, but then you have like the ultra violence of Drive, and then that really weird surreal storyline that's going on with the 80s music. Like, just keep the music. You don't even need to make more music. Like, just have it. One guy against like mobs of enemies, like that. Story. Okay, fine, but just seeing one guy take on these mobs of enemies in like the 80s style, and have the little weird masks that you put on beforehand, and then lead into that ultra violence. Again, I'm not a sicko, but you know, makes a good film.
When you say immediately after you said Hotline Miami, I could hear like the Grindhouse-esque trailer for it in my head. I mean, like, directed by Robert Rodriguez. It's a hobo with a shotgun. It's Hotline Miami. Like, I can totally see this just drenched in like 80s grit and neon and hyperviolence, and I love that.
Yeah, I think, like I said, keep that kick-ass soundtrack, and I'd go see it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it could really be like a John Wick or like a Kate or like one of those like kind of just action-driven movies that like, when there's a minute of dialogue, you're like, oh my God, I can catch my breath, finally.
Yeah.
Are you a Hotline Miami guy at all, Mark, or have you played the game?
I have not, but you put directed by Robert Rodriguez, I'm in.
Yeah. I think
that would be,
I'm imagining like Planet Terror specifically, like that style of movie with Hotline Miami. Yeah.
Well, see, I was thinking a little bit more serious, but now I would like to see Robert Rodriguez directing it in a Planet Terror style.
Yeah, it'll be the actual Machete 3 when it comes out. So my number 2 is also hyper-violent, and I'm also not a sicko, but I think it'd be sick. I think it'd be awesome if No More Heroes was turned into a movie, like the first game as a movie. For those who don't know, No More Heroes is a story about a guy who is the 11th ranked assassin in the world, or in the first game, he's 11th in America, and it's his goal to become number 1. So I'm imagining a Tarantino-style, Kill Bill-esque, hyper-violent, non-stop ride. The bosses in No More Heroes are so cool. I would love to like almost dreamcast every single one of the bosses individually. But Travis Touchdown himself, the character looks so much like Johnny Knoxville. I know he's not really an actor, but if you can't get Johnny Knoxville, hear me out. The actor, what is his name? Freddie Storma. You may know him. Right now, he's playing Vigilante on Peacemaker. This guy would be an awesome Travis Touchdown. He's got the maniacal look in his eye. He's funny. I would like to see the actor playing Vigilante as Travis Touchdown in my No More Heroes movie. It'd be sick. I'd be over the moon if that happened.
That is great fan casting.
Yes, thank you. Because at first I wrote down, Johnny Knoxville, because that's just the obvious one. And then I was like, who else? And like immediately it was Vigilante, because I just have fallen in love with that character over the first 5 episodes of Peacemaker. But yeah, No More Heroes is my number 2. Mark, what is your number 1?
So full transparency, just before the podcast, I Googled all my entries, like, hey, just to make sure. And I did not know there was a Ghost of Tsushima movie.
Okay, yeah.
So I went with my backup, and it quickly became my number one because how much I love this game. Kind of bug, kind of snack. It's Bug Snacks.
Oh my god, yes!
I did not expect Bug Snacks, but that's perfect.
I love Bug Snacks. Not a lot of things make me cry, but Bug Snacks did.
Man, like that the soundtrack is already there for you. Like great voice actors in that game that can just hopefully carry over their talent to a movie. I love this.
We're not making a live action, but if the studio wants, we can, negotiate. But let's keep it animated.
I'm imagining like an Illumination, like an Ice Age-esque like style, or the Croods or something.
Don't drag down Bug Snacks and compare it to Ice Age. I know that's not what you meant, but
the original Ice Age, not Ice Age 7. Just the first one. The first one's good.
Am I on a podcast with Ice Age stans?
Listen, what's wrong with
first
Ice
one,
Age?
You are.
Gosh. Do you see the poster of Scrap on my wall?
It was a great podcast, guys.
All right, so Mark is going to start the anti-Ice Age union, which
I didn't realize Ice Age was so controversial.
It is a movement.
No more Ice Age, but people are thinking you're doing like a political thing, not about the movie.
Yeah.
You'd get signatures. Yeah.
Stop the Ice Age. Stop the Ice Age. Anyway.
Yes. I don't even know what side of the aisle that would attract.
Honestly, I think Bug Snacks the movie is brilliant. Bug Snacks the movie.
You keep Bunger in that? So
Bunger.
The merchandising. I work at a movie theater when we are open, and like I can already see like the stuffies lined up on the island in the middle, and oh my god.
And for those who have not played this game, I'm not even joking. It is surprisingly deep. The character bonds and emotions are so great. You're laughing with them. You're crying with them. The love story that they touch upon, like mental health. I'm like, what, in a Bug Snacks game?
Oh, it's surprisingly heavy. Like it's a heavy game at moments.
And the ending, or actually more of the end credits, had me shooked. You know how many times I used the word shooked unironically?
Yeah.
This time, that's it.
You know what I realized though too? You're right, Mark. I was dumb. This movie would not be like an Ice Age or Croods. I think the perfect team you want for this movie is the team behind Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Is that the name of the franchise?
Yes.
Yeah, it has that same absurdist visual humor. A lot of the designs of the bugs and Bug Snacks is my favorite part of that game. So to actually get that stuff right would be great. Yeah, I think that team would be the one you want.
You keep keep some of the voice actors. I'm not saying like, oh, not these voice actors, but of course, when we're gonna pitch to the studio, it's like, hey, we want Josh Gad.
Yeah. Why do you want Josh Gad though?
Not me, but hey, this is studio. This is
that's true.
What are you guys talking about?
All right, fine.
Chris Pratt would definitely be Bunger.
Yeah. but no accent. No accent for Bunger. Bunger.
It'll just be Bunger. That's it. Think about it, like the story would be great. I mean, I won't say it's a direct adaptation. I mean, you can definitely cut out some of the side plots. But just as you touch on it, the merchandising. I want a Bunger stuffed animal.
Yeah, I do too. And I think
or stuffed snack.
I think Bug Snacks would work so well as like a kids movie as well, where like there's like maybe a core cast of like 10 characters or something like that. They're all pretty unique. So kids see this movie and they all come out with their own favorite. Like, oh, I loved that one the most. Oh, I related to this. I don't think kids say like, I relate to this Bug Snacks the most. But like, it'd be cool. Like each kid would have their favorite of the crew, their favorite Bug Snack. It's like Pokemon almost. Like, I don't know.
Exactly. And I think that, and when people talk about like, oh, it's a kids animated movie, I feel like sometimes it's a little dismissive. But great animated movies is anyone can enjoy it.
Yep.
I think kids will like it for, the obvious, cute Bug Snacks. But again, playing this game, I was like, it's kind of like watching Inside Out.
Yeah.
When you actually get the message and you just sit there in like emotional silence, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. On the surface, it could be this like bubbly kids movie, but like there are themes and things that happen in Bug Snacks that are definitely not for the immature, if that makes sense. So you're right, Mark. It'd be for the kids, but when you're the parents sitting there in the theater having an existential crisis, watching this
Yes.
Bugsnax movie, you can be like, wow, I also had a great time.
It will get nominated for Best Animated Movie. It probably won't win. We're still up against Pixar. We're not pitching this to Pixar. But if you want to hear us out, call me.
I love that. That's a fantastic first pick. Jessica, what was your number one?
Well, mine seems a bit boring now, but
yours doesn't have a bunker.
If it does, they hit it very well.
Oh no, Dying Light 2.
My number one would be Dead Space, because all right, there's actually already, because I did the thing as well. I googled it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's not a Dead Space film going to be made. There's a 90s horror film starring Bryan Cranston, taking it back to Breaking Bad from the start of the episode, that looks horrible, called Dead Space, and I really want to watch it now.
And there was like a animated movie, right? Like they made like a Dead Space Aftermath.
Yeah, there was 2 animated movies that they done, but I would love it if it was a live action Dead Space. And also, while googling this, John Carpenter wanted to make a Dead Space film back in 2013.
Oh, nice.
And it's like, I don't even need to like pitch. They're like, John Carpenter making a Dead Space film. Yeah, do it, please make it. I don't know what.
I think a Dead Space movie could really like revitalize the sci-fi horror genre. Like really, like if you think about it, there isn't a lot of those these days. There's the Alien franchise, which is probably the king and queen of the IP. And like the last one I remember seeing was that last Cloverfield movie. That was really bad. Cloverfield Paradox, I think it was called.
The one on Netflix?
I thought it was okay.
It wasn't.
I love the first 2 Cloverfields, and I just did not like that last chapter. But like there isn't a lot of sci-fi or like horror in space, really. And Dead Space would be really cool. Like what a fun atmosphere.
Exactly, like it just writes itself. Like his quote when he was talking to, I think it was Game Informer, was, "I maintain that Dead Space would just make a great movie because you have these people coming onto an abandoned, shutdown spaceship, and they have to start it up, and it's all these necromorphs on board." It's just my favorite quote. It's just great stuff. Like that is no more.
Someone like John Carpenter, who has done like The Thing and like these really good ensemble movies, like with Kurt Russell and stuff. Like man, he'd be the perfect guy for this movie.
Yeah, I don't know why it never came off the ground, because that was 9 years ago now, but I would love it. Like you wouldn't even need it to have the story. It's just that atmosphere. It'd be cool if you had the design of the ships, like he said, coming on the big abandoned mining ship, having Isaac's armor. That's so cool, the way it lights up in the back. Like that would be cool. Having the necromorphs, obviously. You can even have some of the same set pieces they have, because I think they transfer over the film as well. Like a necromorph coming at you in the elevator. Like, yep, sign me up.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. I haven't played a Dead Space, but I'd watch this movie day one. Because like I have faith that if they try to adapt it, they would do it in the best way without cheaping out on visual effects. Or like that's the thing. You can make a Dead Space movie, but it's got to be done right to really, get the point across to new viewers of the IP.
If you had like fan casting, Guillermo del Toro doing something with monster design, working with people he works with, like that would be so cool. That would be perfect.
You've like Bradley Cooper on the crew. Okay, interesting. I love this. I might.
He's there for support.
Start like a spin-off podcast called Dreamcasting, where we just like dreamcast a different movie, a video game movie every episode. I'll sit on that for a bit. But my number one. And this is surprising me as well. I was looking through my shelf of games behind me, and one caught my eye. And it's like, yeah, right. And I was like, wait a minute, though. In a world where the Mario movie comes out and it is a fantastic success, and Nintendo is very happy with it, we get the Luigi's Mansion spinoff starring Charlie Day. No Chris Pratt. Charlie Day's Luigi's Mansion. That's all I want. The thing is,
brilliant.
The game
I
itself,
thought you were going to go with the Zelda. Well, I was like, oof.
No. I think that has to be a TV show. I think Zelda, Metroid, those are TV show things. Luigi's Mansion, specifically the first game for the GameCube, you can beat that game in like 4 hours. It's very short. And like I was saying about Horizon Zero Dawn being turned into a movie, you don't have to cut a lot of fat from Luigi's Mansion. He wins a random contest. He goes to this place. He gets terrorized by ghosts. You have Charlie Day being panicked for the whole movie, which is like peak Charlie Day. I would love for this movie to exist. And no Chris Pratt, except for at the end, he can say, "Thank you, Luigi." That was what I think
Like,
Chris Pratt will sound like.
one of those Marvel cameos at the end, like when Spider-Man was in not Spider-Man, Jesus,
Yeah.
Superman was in Shazam. He didn't even say anything. It's just his body
Yes.
appears. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be like a post-credit stinger or something.
Yeah.
But my number one, I'm shocked by this. This is not, when I pitched this topic, I did not think I was coming on the show with Luigi's Mansion as my number one. But the more I think about it, the more I really want it. And if it does well, you make the second one and the third one as a trilogy of movies starring Charlie Day. So all of mine ended up being Nintendo, which was like totally unintentional. Because I started my list with like a lot of the Sony stuff. I was looking at Control. I thought Metal Gear Solid, Wolfenstein. But then when I got to Nintendo, I just thought that maybe there's so much less story in those games that you could probably just adapt it to a movie with adding some story elements to it. Whereas something like a Yakuza, like that is a story-based game. And to try and adapt that whole game, which is 40 to 50 hours, into a 2-hour movie, you're going to lose a lot of context and characters and subplot that just won't be worth it. So, yeah. Any other like honorable mentions that you guys almost had on your list but didn't make the cut?
I was trying to come up with a Zelda one, but I'm like,
I don't even think Zelda would work. Like, I think they're making a Zelda Netflix show, I believe.
There's been rumors about that, yeah.
I don't think it will even work. Like, Zelda's not, like, I like Zelda, the story, but it's just a fantastic game. It's one of those ones I don't think would transfer too well to a movie or a TV show.
I try to pitch a Journey in my head.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
But I'm like, okay, animated short. I'm like, Bugsnax.
Yeah. And the other one I had on my list that I was like, I almost made my top 3 was just Yoshi's Island. I don't know why. The story of a Yoshi bringing a baby Mario back home to its brother was like, that's a Bugsnax, like fun animated feature. But then I had remembered that Baby Mario cries a lot, and I hate the sound of Baby Mario crying. So I threw that idea in the trash bin.
Yeah, Nintendo really need to get into having these films. Like, imagine how much money they could make. Like, I know my 2 nieces at least would go to the cinema to see any Nintendo film.
And same like I was saying with Sony and Uncharted, I think we'll see a lot rides on this Mario movie for Nintendo. If it comes out and it's critically and it makes money for them, we might start seeing Star Fox. We might start seeing Kirby played by The Rock in a movie. Like, these are things that are, possible in our lifetime, and I think that's very exciting.
I just zoned out. Did you say Rock and Kirby again?
Yeah. I
was like, yeah, Mario, Star Fox, Rock is Kirby. I'm like, yeah.
That's when you knew the exact in the pitch meeting. Like, wait, what?
Yeah. That's where the guy's like, oh, sorry, your time was up 10 minutes ago. I think you have to leave. Security?
Or maybe that's when they're like, sold. We'll take it.
Yeah.
I was going to give an honorable mention to, one of them would be a TV show, but I don't know if anybody played What Remains of Edith Finch.
I love that game.
That's good, yeah.
I love
that as a TV show would be super sad. But
each episode focus on like a different member of the family.
Yeah,
almost.
like see how they died and at the ending. Like, I don't know if you choose the same ending, but I think it would be a pretty good TV show. Like for kind of like serious levels.
Yeah, HBO Max.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah,
but John Carpenter has to direct the family. Like, is it the sister who has to go through like the pulpy magazine part of Edith Finch? There's a part where like there's a home invasion in Edith Finch, one of the family members. There's like a home invasion.
Oh yes, that's right. And you're reading the comic book and in the basement. Yeah,
I think it's playing the Halloween theme song as well while you're doing all of this, or it's playing like an iconic horror theme song. But
I forgot that. Yeah, that would be fantastic. And then another one I thought would be actually a good film would be Hades.
Oh wow!
Trying to see him escaping again and again, but then unraveling the mystery of his past, and that was just another honorable mention. I thought.
I was trying to think of like a good that's a time loop one, which like I wonder how you do like a good time loop game movie. Like, can you make The Forgotten City the game? Can you make Outer Wilds the movie? Like, I wonder, and how you like implement the time travel elements into it. Is it like a Prisoner of Azkaban where you're seeing things in the background that happened in different timelines? Very interesting. But I think that's probably going to be an end to our show this week. I want to thank Mark and Jessica for coming on the show and chatting to me about movies and games and The Rock, and I think a bunch of other stuff too along the way.
Yeah.
We coined the phrase kickballs.
Wait, kick, comma, ball. I think is
sorry, we coined the phrase kick, comma, ball.
Yeah, and everyone listens. Join my anti-Ice Age movement. No, not the anti-Ice Age movement.
Yeah, if you've just skipped to this part.
Yeah, boo, scrap.
No.
If you skip to the last minute of the podcast just to hear plugs, then I guess you know what you missed.
Which I love. You skip to the last minute of the podcast just to hear what we're doing, and that's so nice.
Yeah,
actually, and then you're listening to my nonsense of anti Kirby as the Rock, anti-Ice Age.
When I do a podcast, sometimes I'm like, this has to be like the most serious and like professional product. But like at the end of the day, we're a video game podcast. I just want to come on and have fun with you guys. And I think I did exactly that today. Before we leave, Mark, do you have any plugs you want to drop before we take off?
Well, I already said the anti-Ice Age movement.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But if you want to follow me on Twitter for updates about the anti-Ice Age movement and, articles and all that, Lil Marco 512.
Perfect. And I'll include all this in the show notes as well. So you can always, if you don't remember it, I will always have it in the show notes beneath the timestamps. Jessica, any other plugs you want to put out there?
I guess you can follow me on Twitter if you want, at ResiJessie.
Absolutely. Please do that. And then I am Kyle Shamillard. Even we did that. Remember we did that whole thing about my last name at the top of the show?
Yeah. God, that
I was about to say your last name, but I'm like, Charmander, Charmar, Kyle. Yeah,
probably just do what all my high school teachers did and just avoid my last name at all costs. And then I'm Kyle. I'm at Shamakai on Twitter. Thank you so much for listening to the KeenGamer podcast. If you haven't already, please check out our website. We've got great reviews, opinions about video games, movies, and TV shows. If you haven't already, if you're on Spotify, please give us some 5-star ratings. It helps us appear more when people look up video game podcasts. And with that, we will leave you adieu. Have a good day, everyone, and I'll see you all next week. Goodbye.